First of all, hello, welcome back. It has been several months since I have picked up a camera. I'm definitely feeling a bit rusty, so bear with me here. For one reason or another, a couple months ago, life got really hectic, and for my own sanity, I had to put some of the things in my life down for a little bit in order to get through that time period. And YouTube was definitely one of them, but I have been meaning to pick this back up, and so I am hopefully carefully easing myself back into this process, this creative space that I have really come to love and enjoy. I'm also filming this bit in the middle of November of 2024, and I know a lot of folks are likely in a difficult emotional place right now. I know I am. But in coming back to this space and getting back to making things that I love, getting to talk about things that I love, I'm hoping is going to be really grounding for me. And a number of people have told me that they find my voice very calming, that they enjoy my videos. And so A, thank you, but B, in coming back, I also thought, and maybe this is a little egotistical of me, but thinking that if I can provide some semblance of comfort, of happiness to anyone watching, then I would like to do that. If you're new here, hi, my name is Lillian. I'm a writer. I am an avid reader. I love talking about stories, storytelling, the written word, creativity in general. And at the moment, I would really like to talk about a book that is really holding me together at the moment, or rather a poetry collection. This is a collection of Allen Ginsberg's poetry, Howl, Kaddish, and Other Poems. This was a book that I picked up on a writing trip to Paris a couple months ago, which I have the footage of and will be eventually putting out as a vlog. Look forward to that. But I picked it up sort of on a whim a couple days ago, wanting something small and slim to just fit in my pocket, and knowing that poetry in general is something that is a really profound, I guess, tool for me in a lot of ways. And so I was craving some poetry, craving something cathartic, and so I picked this up, and I am about a third of the way through the collection, and this has really been a beacon for me the past couple of days. For those who aren't familiar, Allen Ginsberg was a famous American poet of the Beat generation during the 40s and 50s in America and onward. One of the poems in his first collection, titled Howl, was a subject of an obscenity trial due to its frank depiction of homosexuality and drug use. And so when I initially picked up this collection, part of me was, I don't want to say apprehensive, but potentially intimidated, knowing that Ginsberg is held up as a very prolific, seminal poet of American poetry, of the 20th century poets. And there's always, I think, part of me when I read poetry that has a little bit of imposter syndrome when it comes to approaching poetry, and the fear of, well, what if I don't get it? What if I'm not smart enough? And that's something that I want to tackle more and more. But back to this collection. I am so grateful to have this collection in my life at the moment. I'm really enjoying it. I read Howl for the first time a couple days ago, and it is that girl. It still is that girl. It and a number of other poems that I've come across in this collection from Ginsberg are grossly cathartic. They feel like an examination of a wound, but in a way that is a release. It is despairing, it is hopeful, it is, you could almost say, spitefully hopeful, and that is something that has really been a balm for the past couple of days. I have been carrying this around with me. I have been revisiting a number of sections of Howl. There's a poem in here titled Song that I have been reading and rereading over and over the past couple of days, and at some point I'd like to commit it to memory. But it's a poem titled Song, and I'll read it to you because I think it is poignant and it is something that, like I've mentioned, has been holding me together the past couple of days. This is a song by Allen Ginsberg. The weight of the world is love, under the burden of solitude, under the burden of dissatisfaction. The weight we carry is love. Who can deny this? In dreams, it touches the body. In thought, constructs a miracle. In imagination, anguishes till born inhuman. Looks out of the heart, burning with purity, for the burden of life is love. But we carry the weight wearily, and so must rest in the arms of love at last, must rest in the arms of love. No rest without love, no sleep without dreams of love. Be mad or chill, obsessed with angels or machines. The final wish is love, cannot be bitter, cannot deny, cannot withhold if denied. The weight is too heavy. Must give for no return, as thought is given in solitude in all the excellence of its excess. The warm bodies shine together in the darkness. The hands move to the center of the flesh. The skin trembles in happiness, and the soul comes joyful to the eye. Yes, yes, that's what I wanted. I always wanted to return to the body where I was born. Yeah. I think I will forever be grateful to this collection. At the moment, it is, like I said, it's been a balm. It's been something that's bringing me joy and catharsis. I wanted to talk about it with you a little bit and share, but since it's been a little bit and since we've had another large historical event happen, how are y'all doing? What have you been reading? I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Okay.
So the most important thing when you are writing your piece or your story is understanding and finding your why.
Hello again. I just finished up an online writing class that I signed up for. It was a 2-hour storytelling workshop with the Writing Center that I joined recently, and it was really nice. It's only Tuesday, but it's been a week so far, but it was a really nice way to unwind after what has been a stressful 2 days so far. But update on Howl, I am now just about halfway through this collection. I am close to finishing the poem Kaddish, which is incredible. I'm predicting that this is going to be a 5-star poetry collection for me and a favorite of mine. For those who may not know, Kaddish is quite a long poem by Ginsberg. It is his memorial and remembrance of his mother, who lived with schizophrenia when he was growing up, and as a young man, witnessing her experience that, witnessing her decline. Similar to Howl, there's a bunch of these almost flashes of recollection to previous times or previous experiences, mixed in with sort of his own processing of his feelings of losing his mother, feelings of the experience of growing up and having her as a mother. And it's really poignant and searing. And yeah, I'm continuing to be blown away by Ginsberg's poetry. Figured that while I have you here, I might as well also let you know about 2 of the other books that I'm kind of actively reading. They are somewhat on the back burner as I'm working on the Ginsberg collection, but I thought I would show them to you anyway. The first being Speak Memory, an Autobiography Revisited by Vladimir Nabokov. This I picked up, I think I've been reading actually for most of this year. I've picked up on and off. The opening part of this book really blew me away, and overall I have enjoyed it thus far. There have definitely been passages or chapters that have kind of dragged for me, unfortunately. I think that is in part something that I didn't know about Vladimir Nabokov, is that he was an entomologist. I think there's a more specific term, but he was a scientist that studied butterflies. It was a long-time obsession, love of his to hunt down specimens even as a young child, and so there are a number of passages, and I think even a whole chapter that I read that is sort of this detailed profusion of his love for this subject, this activity, which is all well and good, but after a point I think I started to lose a little bit of interest. I think at I'm about halfway through. I think the chapter that I'm currently reading is to do with the various tutors that he and his siblings had growing up. So I'm slowly but surely making my way through this, and I think it's been an encouragement for me to actually pick up some of his fiction, because his prose writing is just incredible in a number of places, and I'd heard that about his fiction writing as well. I've had Lolita on my shelf since high school, so 10 plus years ago, and I have been too intimidated to actually go and pick it up, but I don't know if it'll be in the immediate aftermath of this. Nevertheless, be less intimidated about picking up Lolita. And then in a similar vein, I have this new biography that recently came out about Audre Lorde's life. This is Survival as a Promise, The Eternal Life of Audre Lorde by Alexis Pauline Gumbs. I picked this up at the National Book Festival a while back here. I actually got to hear the author of this book speak in conversation with a historian who has released a new biography on Harriet Tubman. And the conversation between the two of them was just incredible to listen to, and I promptly went and bought the two respective books by them, but I immediately started reading this biography when I got my hands on it that same day, and have been slowly making my way through it as well. Overall, enjoying it, but I think the caveat to this biography so far is that Alexis Pauline Gumbs is a poet. She is deeply entwined with a number of aspects of Audre Lorde's life, her papers, her ephemera, her surviving chosen kin, and it definitely shows in this biography, which is really cool. But I also think perhaps that because she is a poet, the approach to the biography is not potentially what I was anticipating or what I'd encountered in a biography before, which is a little bit more structured, a little bit more linear. And I think I just needed to update my expectations on what this biography was going to entail. It is not linear. It is sort of, each chapter is touching on a different theme or a different aspect of Lorde's life, sort of flitting between childhood and adulthood, later years. This is for sure a larger biography. I think this is 500 pages, about 450. And I'm sort of in the first part of it here. But this, along with Nabokov's memoir, are currently on my bedside table and have been what I've been reading in the background prior to picking up the Ginsberg collection, and I plan to continue with them. I might, after finishing the Ginsberg collection, pick up a work of fiction. I have been craving fiction recently and kind of find myself in the midst of a bunch of nonfiction. So that is what I'm currently reading, and I think that is all I have for you for this specific update.
With the GoPro. Oh no. Because I'd filmed on it and then it wouldn't turn back on.
Hello there. Last night I filmed a book haul of all of the books that I have bought in the past couple of months that I have not shown on this channel, and so I had reserved to the side to film a book haul with eventually. That got filmed last night, and now I have the task of seeing if I can fit them on my bookshelf. This is, I don't think I've ever really done like a bookshelf tour of any kind, but vague overview of how I have my shelves organized. This is my fiction shelf. Down below is sci-fi and fantasy. This small skinny shelf here is essay collections, currently reading TBR shelf, and memoir, biography, graphic novels down there, and then the shelves back this way are all nonfiction. I think I will be able to squeeze in the fiction books that I have bought on this side. I might need to do a little bit of finagling, but my concern is I may have run out of room on my nonfiction shelf. I have been considering getting another thin, smaller shelf like this to add to the side of this one. There's a little bit of room over here. But for now, I'm going to try to find places for all of these books. Let's see. I'm probably going to have to move. And if you're curious, I organize my fiction books by author's last name. Same thing for my essay collections and memoir and biography section. The nonfiction shelves have a little bit of their own specialized organization system, but that's how I do my fiction shelves. Ta-da! There we have it. And now I just have to find space, or potentially temporary space, until I get another bookshelf. Room for these guys on the nonfiction side. Hello again, back to the same spot where I started this vlog. I just wanted to have a little bit of a chit chat, wrap up my thoughts about Howl, which I finished the other day. And I mean, spoilers have been given already as far as how I feel about the collection, but Chef's Kiss, 5 out of 5 stars. Incredible. I wanted to touch back on some of the things that I mentioned in the intro to this vlog, which was filmed, I believe, in the week following the US presidential election. And one of the things I've noticed in the last couple of weeks has been, I feel like this is going to sound silly and fluffy when I say it, and I don't mean it to, but this deep need to adhere to like the rudimentary forms of self-care, like when it comes to taking care of myself, routines, exercise, seeing friends, reading books, and allowing that to really ground me and keep me present in a way that I don't think I had the same tools or awareness the first time around in 2016 when this happened. And I think looking back now, there was definitely, in the wake of that, there's definitely part of me that shut down for a really long time in not a good way. And I think now this is happening a second time. One, I think I've had some time to develop a deeper understanding of myself and my needs, but also the connection that taking care of myself allows me to be present in the world and show up for things and people outside of myself. And so in the process of clinging desperately to some of these routines or just very rudimentary habits, you know, like something as small as making sure I've had enough vegetables that day, thinking about things that will help personally get me through, but also will then make it possible for me to help others get through this time that we are going to be entering. And I'm blanking on the wonderful Audre Lorde quote. I will put it up on the screen or potentially down in the description, but the gist of it is we have to find our place and our role in what is to come. Whether that is something that we might think as being very small, very minuscule, might be something that only you can do, or something that not many people can do and show up for. So I think in the coming months and years, it will be a challenge to hold space for both the grief and the anger of what is happening, but also being able to hold on to the things that remind us that there is beauty, that there is good in this world, and it's worth fighting for. Yes, I'm quoting the Lord of the Rings movie. That scene makes me cry every time. But I think the overall message that I wanted to impart in my own rambling way is take care of yourself so that you can then help take care of others. Hold on to each other, hold each other tight. The world is a scary place, but I think we all have the capacity to help make it a little brighter. And I think we should definitely try to do so. Those are some of the thoughts that have been rattling around in the back of my brain the past couple of weeks. Things I've been sort of spitefully, hopefully holding on to. And speaking of spiteful hope, let's transition back onto this wonderful, beautiful poetry collection. There is a poem in here. I know I read you Song from this collection earlier. I won't read you another poem. I will link it down below for you to check out. But it's Ginsberg's poem titled America, and I think it feels poignant. It feels raw and visceral in a way that Ginsberg does really well. Some of the language and terminology in it is dated, to our now 21st century vernacular, but I think a lot of the sentiments still ring true in that poem. I'm still picking up this collection even after having finished it, revisiting poems, revisiting passages. It is really, for me, it's been super impactful, and I'm very grateful to have read this in the time that I did. I think the way that I would describe Ginsberg's poetry that's in this collection is that gritty, visceral, emotive kind of language. I'll say some of the longer poems in this collection, namely Howl and Kaddish, which I think for me are some of the big standouts of this collection. They are several pages long, I would say probably at least 15, maybe 20 pages. And they read in what felt akin to, say, stream of consciousness prose. I think the way that I approached those poems specifically and the collection in general was just to sort of like sit back and let the words, let the verses sort of just wash over me, not trying to go in with preconceived notions or expectations, but just slowly sitting with it. I feel like this collection has opened my eye to new aspects of poetry, new approaches to poetry. It has definitely inspired me to pick up my own pen again and start drafting some verses. If you enjoy poetry and have not encountered Allen Ginsberg before, I would highly recommend picking up some of his work. Of course, I will be linking some of the poems that I mentioned specifically in the description below for you to check out if you want to peek. But I think that is where I'm going to leave this vlog at the moment. Thank you so much for watching. I'm slowly making my way back to video making. I have a few videos lined up, but if you have any video topics, things that you would like me to make videos about, feel free to put that in the comments below. I'm always open to new video ideas, but I hope you all are doing well, that you're taking care of yourself, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.